All right, welcome to episode 2 of Scott Reads Comics. Today we're covering another dollar bin dive acquisition, Spider-Woman number 40, retailing at 50 cents in 1981. This is a mere 10 issues before the unfortunate cancellation of the title. As a kid, I remember the Spider-Woman cartoon and always being super into Spider-Woman, and she just had such a great costume and colors, and I just thought she was always a character with great potential. I didn't buy this one off the rack when I was a kid, but I wish I would have, actually, having read it now and in retrospect. So in this issue, we have a great action cover by interior artist Steve Leialoha. And we see Spider-Woman being attacked by one of my favorite and actually little used Bronze Age or Copper Age villains, Flying Tiger. Great costume, great concept, and we're going to see a lot of him in this issue as we go through it. And the tagline says it all. She's just met the Flying Tiger. And I don't know if this is his first appearance or not. It might be. This is, as we're going to see, a Chris Claremont joint. So it's got all the hallmarks of Chris Claremont's script and plot. And we're going to see that on full display. All right. What a splash page. What a splash page. We see Spider-Woman flying over the night streets of San Francisco, and she is being ambushed by the Flying Tiger. The mysterious Spider-Woman, Chris Claremont writer, Steve Leialoha and Bob Wiacek artists, Joe Rosen letterer, Carl Gafford colorist, one of my favorite colorists, Denny O'Neil editor, and Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. Flying Tiger kills. So we see right away he's got the drop on the Dark Angel, as she was sometimes known, and he gets a good shot in at her from behind. Great lettering effects there by Joe Rosen, super pro. And here we see, after his initial ambush, he is a super strong flyer. That's one of his abilities that his battle armor gives him. And this is his first encounter with Spider-Woman. She says, "Who was that? My back, the impact bent me double. I'm in agony from the waist down, but the pain is good." At least she knows she can feel anything after that impact to her back, so she's kind of happy about that. And you can see, too, just the Claremont, the heavy internal dialogue and external dialogue will be quite apparent as we move along. Great shot of Flying Tiger here, close up on his face. You can see it's obviously battle armor. Maybe similar in some ways a little bit to the helmet that DC Comics Bronze Tiger wore in his early career. Interesting, too, that he's an African-American character, which is great. You didn't see a ton of that in the Bronze Age Marvel stuff, but I always welcomed it when I did. And it's cool to have heroes and villains that kind of come from all different walks of life and backgrounds. So I'm into that. And we'll find out, too, that he has an interesting background as an ex-professional athlete. So he went from that to somehow acquiring this suit and becoming a criminal and assassin. So he's powerful in his battle suit. It's never clear to me what exactly his strength level is. We know from the Handbook of the Marvel Universe that Spider-Woman can press around 7 tons, so she's no slouch herself, and he's overpowering her here. And their aerial combat continues. He strikes her very hard here. She disengages or gets knocked away, and she's trying to slow her descent because she's not really a powered flyer. She's more of a glider, whereas he can have incredibly fast and powerful flight. And here we see a great sequence, 3-part sequence by Leialoha and Wiacek, where she's slowly trying to descend, and Here, she actually uses the Transamerica Pyramid, which is a San Francisco skyline highlight, to slow herself down. So her ability to cling to surfaces helps a little bit. She ends up here on the side of the building. Cool shot of those office workers in there working the late night oil in the office. But her respite is brief because as she makes her way inside, Flying Tiger bursts through too. And I love the way Lealoha and Wycheck show like the speed and power of his flight. Those classic motion lines, I love that as a kid and still do now. It's just a great way to depict a character at really moving at speed. So here he is stalking her, and she almost doesn't realize the danger. She notes the reaction of the other people as he comes at her from behind, and she steps aside, but not quite in time. He gets another swipe in at her. Surprise, sweetheart. Classic chippy Claremont dialogue there. Great ad here for some collectible miniatures. So these would have been 3.5 inch according to this, or no, 3 3/4 inch, sort of the classic in the classic Star Wars mold. Would have been great to send away for these and get these. And of course they got all the biggies at the time. Monster Mania, Battlestar Galactica. I always, as a kid, wanted to scrape together the money and send away for stuff like this, but I never did it. Nor did I ever sell Grit, which could have been a missed opportunity. All right, after being struck by Flying Tiger, Spider-Woman makes an amazing recovery and blasts him with one of her patented Venom blasts, which, as Spider-Woman, this title, one of the things that Spider-Woman suffered from as a title in this time was just multiple creative teams. Over and over, they kept switching. And so her powers, while her core powers sort of remained the same, her ancillary powers or secondary powers, like her Venom blast, kind of changed. Like, does her Venom blast actually damage objects, or does it just affect the like electricity, just like affect the body systems that she attacks and stun her foe? So to me, it was never really clear. Here, she obviously uses it to stun Flying Tiger, full intensity blast. He must be wearing body armor. It absorbed or deflected the brunt of my Venom blast. I only staggered him. And then, of course, again, more of that classic Claremont dialogue. If that was your best shot, Toots, you're in a lot of trouble. Make things easy on yourself. Hold this pose. Things will be over before you know it. What a great shot of the action here. Steve Lealoha is an extremely underrated and not really talked about enough Bronze Age artist. Just a superior inker. He did some amazing inking over Jim Starlin and the Warlock Saga. A great penciler and designer in his own right. Completely changed his style in the later 80s when he did a stint on New Mutants following Bill Sienkiewicz to kind of follow the style, the more abstract style of Bill Sienkiewicz, and that was admirable in and of itself. And he's just an amazing talent and very underrated as both inker and penciler. I love his shot of the skyline again here of San Francisco. With it in the background, you can see the Golden Gate Bridge, and Gafford's colors really do a nice job showing like a city at night. And Spider-Woman realizes, I can't take much more of this. Like, he's overpowering her, he surprised her, she's got more than she bargained for here. So she makes a desperate ploy to close in with him and give him a close range Venom blast, which she does, and he really does hurt him. And of course, you'll pay for that, bimbo. This dialogue is very reminiscent of Sabretooth. Like, this Flying Tiger could just as easily be, Sabretooth with wings here, which is fine. I mean, that's just the kind of the style of the character that he is. He's a roughhouser in the Claremont sense, and, speaks ineloquently. But again, great costume elements and design here, and he really lets her have it. He smacks her in this incredible knockback he inflicts on her. She goes flying off in an arc toward the Golden Gate Bridge. And here we are, next panel, Golden Gate Bridge in the background, even closer. And here, Spider-Woman seriously thinks, you know, I may have bitten off more than I can chew. I might have to run here. And this panel here on this page, very, to me, reminiscent of Michael Golden's panel from Avengers Annual number 10, which came out the same year as this one, 1981, where Spider-Woman makes the incredible rescue of Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, when she is assaulted and attacked by Rogue in that immortal story. And we're going to cover Avengers Annual number 10 on this show for sure. I got to build up to that one, though, because that's a big one, a seminal issue. But anyway, here we have Spider-Woman flying around the Golden Gate Bridge. And in the foreground, we can see a submarine, which is going to play big coming up here. While she tries to get away, she cannot. Flying Tiger's he's just too fast. He's too fast for her. So he catches her and lets her have it again. I can't elude the tiger in the air, she says. But on the ground, using the traffic to mask my movements and the fog to hide me, I may have a chance. Not too shabby. Your moves are as sweet as your figure. If I was prince among men, I might be inclined to let you go. But he's not. And here he lands, and in this great panel, again, shows his considerable superhuman strength by just landing and butting this station wagon sort of in Spider-Woman's direction, but missing her, but at the same time jeopardizing this entire family who are in the wagon, loaded to bear with, looks like they're on their way on vacation or something, or back from vacation. And Spider-Woman, being the uncompromising hero that she is, places herself in danger and uses the broken bridge cables to ensnare the car that's plummeting towards the San Francisco Bay below, the dark waters of San Francisco Bay. The car snaps some of the vertical cables. It's all tangled up. Okay, so that may have been more a happenstance than anything else. So she uses it to her advantage, however, to help to rescue these poor passengers in this car. She's going to use the cable here and ingeniously, with a little bit of superhero physics, wrap the cable around the bridge support and secure the car so it stops swinging. Above Spider-Woman, traffic has come to a standstill, creating a jam that will take much of the night to clear. Drivers and passengers mill about the rail, watch in helpless horror, waiting to do something without knowing what or how. A flying tiger, there is no sign. So here then Spider-Woman takes this respite from the attack that's been perpetrated against her to save these unsuspecting bystanders. I love the use of her strength here, her super strength. She just casually tears the door off, just breaking that nader bolt and tearing that door off its hinges. And cool use of her ability to cling to any object here. She's just clinging to the bridge support as she, despite of her injuries and being beat up, she easily lifts this family out and gets them to safety. And then, bam, the snap. The cable breaks. The now empty car goes plummeting into the bay. Good luck explaining that on your insurance, family. Now, but she saved the family, but now Flying Tiger is back with a vengeance. Nothing like ending your career and your life on an up note, eh, Webbs? And again, it's so great the way Claremont can just instill personality into a character with just a few words. And here we have Flying Tiger in that distinctive patois that he speaks in. He comes up with a quick nickname for Spider-Woman, calling her Webbs. And it's both personal and also threatening at the same time. Of course, did you think I'd forgotten you? And he double-fisted, just smashes her down, plummeting toward the bay. She's 230 feet above the bay. When the tiger hits her, she drops like a stone, and when she hits the water, she doesn't reappear. So Tiger thinks his job has been complete. Scratch one superhero. I feel good. Shoot, this tiger feels great. I thought my life was over when I was bounced out of pro ball, but murder is turning out to be an exciting and as much fun as football ever was. So here we have a bit of background on Tiger. And again, I love thought balloons. I really miss thought balloons. It's one of the reasons I don't really read modern comics, because someone somewhere along the way decided that in some weird postmodern sense, thought balloons were silly and passe and not an effective tool for storytelling, and I couldn't disagree more. I think not using thought balloons, you've eliminated an incredible insight into a character that you can get, and I miss them, and that's why when I read old comics like this, it's reinforced for me every time. So where is Tiger going? Soon at the palatial home of General Nguyen Yak Khan, renegade immigrant turned millionaire businessman whose latest ambition is to become the crime czar of San Francisco. So Flying Tiger was paid. He's a paid assassin, super assassin, to take out Spider-Woman by General Nyak Khoi. Now, General Nyak Khoi is a Claremont character who will reappear in pivotal issues of X-Men and New Mutants and Wolverine. So he's one of these characters that Claremont takes with him into his other titles. And I don't know, this is probably not his first appearance. I have the complete run of Spider-Woman, but I haven't read it all in a while. And so I think General Khoi has appeared before this issue 40. But here he is again, and he's hired the Flying Tiger to take out Spider-Woman. And Tiger thinks he's done it. He's reporting back. The lady in red is dead, General. That fulfills my half of our contract. Now it's your turn. This agreed upon sum has already been transferred into your numbered Swiss bank account, Monsieur Le Tigre. You have my thanks for a job well done. I am a man who loves his work, General. Of that, my friend, I have no doubt. If the price is right, this could, as you Americans say, be the beginning of a beautiful relationship, and they are toasting. So he's got other work possibly for Flying Tiger to do, and they're going to talk about it over some celebratory champagne here. Meanwhile, beneath the bay, we see the crew of that nuclear submarine that was in the foreground of that panel a few pages ago. They're going to come into play in the story big time now. All right. Always love this. Thought it was obviously reminiscent of Thor. Marvel Comics Group checklist and price list. So this is obviously way, way pre-internet, and this is how we did it back then, folks. We had to send away for catalogs, look at the Mile High Comics ad that's going to be in some of the comics I'll be covering on this show, and kind of figure out what things were worth that way. So this is a thing that Claremont does so well, better than anyone. He'll take a character that you've never met before, a civilian, just a normal person, and in just a few panels with a few bits of dialogue, he infuses that character with pathos and interest and dimensionality that other writers would be hard pressed to do in the same space of time. So we have this captain of this nuclear submarine, this naval guy. He sees where Spider-Woman flew into the water after being struck by the tiger, and he's going in to save her. There she is, rescue team on deck. Skipper, what do you think you're doing? The current pulled her under. I'm the only one who saw her. She wasn't moving. She's possibly dead. But if she's alive, if I don't reach her fast, she'll drown. So this normal guy, well, normal in the sense that he's not a superhero, dives into this black water in the night and in the cold and fishes Spider-Woman out, someone he doesn't even know. And by some comic book coincidence, his name is Paul Morrell, and he is possibly related to Sabrina Morrell, who's a police inspector that Spider-Woman has encountered in issues past. So it is a coincidence that we're asked to buy, but again, it's comics, and it's the story. Coincidence often drives stories. Who are you? We saw your fight over the bridge. When you took your header into the Golden Gate, we thought you'd had it. Doc says you're bruised and battered, but no bones are broken. He's amazed. So am I. So am I, Captain. Here we have Spider-Woman, obviously in a state of undress. They've rescued her. They're probably drying her clothes or costume, but now they've seen her face. Obviously, they don't know she's Jessica Drew, but they know that Spider-Woman looks like she looks here without her mask on. And here we realize in this panel, a significant plot point in this story, her back is badly hurt. So she's suffering what she describes as indescribable pain when she rises from a supine position to a sitting position. And the doc, they warn her that she needs to be careful. While she doesn't have any permanent injuries now, if she should sustain further concussion to her back, perhaps in a rematch with Flying Tiger, she could be permanently paralyzed. And also, too, we realize in this sequence that the Captain has an almost irresistible attraction to Spider-Woman. And it's been stated as part of her sort of her nebulous power set. She has this ability, almost like a pheromone ability, to make certain people attracted to her. But at the same time, that ability can also work in the opposite direction with certain people. So some people just naturally are repulsed by her, and some people are naturally attracted to her and they can't control themselves. So here it's working in a positive way with the ship captain. Here's the Mile High Comics ad. As kids, we would always look at this and you get an idea maybe what the market value of your comics was. We look it up. Oh, I found this at Ides in the dollar bin. What's this actually worth? It's in good shape. And then you could look it up. Oh, Howard the Duck's worth number one is worth $12. But the one we were always concerned with was the X-Men, because we were always trying to get back issues of the Claremont Cockrum and then the Claremont Byrne runs on X-Men. And the big one at the time was X-Men 94. $50. It was worth $50. Now it's, a book worth, in the right condition, tens of thousands of dollars. So it's one of those Silver Age, Bronze Age gems, and one of the things that people are looking for today. The keys, they call them. So yeah, Mile High Comics, great ad. Back to our story, we see the nuclear submarine is in dock now, and they're letting Spider-Woman off. It'll be worth it. There's a pretty stiff wind blowing. Will you be all right? I have a car. I could drive you home. I'll manage, she says. I'd like to see you again. And here we have kind of a weird power dynamic going on here. It's a little skeevy. And if I say no, will you try to force me? Anything is possible, my friend. Good comeback there. Leave it kind of open. Your back bothering you? The good doctor wasn't joking about the pain. So she makes her goodbyes to Captain Morrell, and next we cut to Spider-Woman with her friend Lindsay McCabe, who says, "You look miserable, kid. Thanks, I needed that." It's obviously the next day, and Spider-Woman is looking for some kind of answers to her current condition. She's badly beat up, and Lindsay suggests going to a chiropractor in Los Angeles, but that's not an option. She wants to do something here. And in her conversation with Morrell earlier, he had mentioned that he knows in the city of a martial arts teacher who could somehow help her. So she's seizing on that contact to check out the this school. While Spider-Woman has had training from Hydra and has relied on her natural powers in battle, and she is a formidable combatant. She does not really have any formalized martial arts training at this point. So here we have her seeking it out to heal both her mind and her body, because she was defeated pretty badly by Flying Tiger. But she is worried about it. This school was a link between Spider-Woman, Paul, and Jessica Drew. If I become a regular student, our paths will surely cross. No sense worrying, though. And here she meets the sensei. I am Cho Shan Lu. I am sensei here, the founder of this school. Welcome. And she says, I'm Jessica Drew. I hope you can help me. One can but try, Miss Drew. And she describes a way of coping with pain, of healing, and of defending myself. That's what she's after. So this is neat. In this one panel here, several weeks of time pass. So this is like a training montage sequence in a movie. So she actually learns the elements of Tai Chi, which having done a little Tai Chi, Leialoha is pretty good here with these sequences. It's almost looks like she's doing Fair Lady Works the Shuttle, which is a Tai Chi, a series of Tai Chi movements that you learn early on to get the basics of the form down. And it's a great sequence of her doing that, and Sensei here in the foreground on the right, kind of giving her pointers, literally. Great subscription ad. I love these. Again, and I'm probably going to end up doing this every show. I reinforce my call for a collection of both house ads, which would include these subscription ads for comics, because there's so much great art and background just on the making of comics themselves. Even just learning what a subscription would cost for comics in this period is kind of cool and fun and nostalgic. So, not sure who drew this torch. These were rarely, if ever, credited. So, it's a great Human Torch, though. Not one of my favorite characters, but I do appreciate the visual aspects of the character, and he looks really cool here. The way they weave his fire corona in with the headline of the ad. So, cool sub ad for Marvel Comics themselves. So one day during this montage, Spider-Woman is cleaning up after a workout, and she runs into the aforementioned Lieutenant Morell, possibly Paul Morell's sister, and the man who rescued her. So here they are having kind of an awkward encounter at the martial arts studio, and this is one of those instances where Lieutenant Morell is kind of revulsed by her, very short with her, and that could be an effect of Spider-Woman's natural power to either attract or repel certain individuals. And she sort of quietly enters the locker room where Morell went in and sees her disrobing, and she has this distinctive Yakuza tattoo on her back, which is, there's going to be more. I'm sure Claremont had planned more for that at some point. I don't know if they ever got to it in the remaining 10 issues. And Claremont actually doesn't finish the Spider-Woman title. I think Ann Nocenti and Brian Postman, the penciler, are doing it at that point. So who knows if this ever got any payoff. Claremont was famous for having one or two panels of subplots that never paid off. There's a lot of dangling subplots in his X-Men run, dozens of them. So this could be one in the Spider-Woman run as well. But yeah, she's got the Yakuza tattoo, and great work on that tattoo. Great colors by Carl Gafford to bring it out, and great rendering by Leialoha and Wycheck there. So, Spider-Woman leaves the studio. She's making her way through the city streets, and as fate would have it, she comes upon a woman screaming, being pulled from her shop, a local shopkeeper, by some criminal thugs who then promptly firebomb her shop as they spirit her away in a black limo or black sedan. That woman's being kidnapped. I'll use the alarm box to summon the fire department. The store is a total ruin, but perhaps the firemen can save the building flanking it. The woman I'll save myself. Yeah, you got to go after those exposures with the fire department. You know, you can't let the fire spread. All right. So she's, for the first time perhaps in weeks, she is back in costume. And I love this costume. Cannot say enough about it. It's one of my favorite costumes of all time of any superhero. It just, anytime I see an action figure of Spider-Woman, I'm tempted to buy it. And this costume is just so amazing. And when they ended this title, I think prematurely, and really just did Spider-Woman dirty in the way they did it. And I may or may not cover Spider-Woman number 50 at some point on here, but I just missed the costume for so long she was gone. And in his own way, Claremont brings Jessica Drew back in Wolverine later, but we don't get to see this Spider-Woman costume again for some time. I think Brian Michael Bendis is the one who really brings her back, because I guess he loves her as much as I do. Anyway, she's pursuing the woman who was taken hostage, and she closes in on the sedan. As she's flying past it, I guess they see her, so she goes to try and land on the roof, and they blast through it with gunfire. But she gets out of the way because she has those preternatural reflexes. And then so she uses the gunshot holes to kind of dig her fingers in, and she peels the roof back like a can opener. I have to hit fast and accurately before they can react. Here we see her using her venom blast again. She stuns these drivers unconscious. These guys are not Flying Tiger. They are stunned unconscious immediately. They're just mooks, minions. They have no importance really to the story, so she just knocks them out. And she retrieves the hostage, and the car crashes onto the aquatic park beach. So they're out of commission, presumably okay, but just unconscious. And she asks, "Why were they after you anyway? Those men are syndicate enforcers. They sell protection. If you cooperate, they won't wreck your shop or beat you up. I refuse to pay." And she says she refused to pay. Not only did she refuse, but she also was trying to organize the other shopkeepers to also refuse. And it's a sure bet that these guys are working for the would-be crime boss of San Francisco, General Ngoc Nguyen. So, or Nguyen Ngoc, I believe is his name. So what does that mean? Well, Flying Tiger has continued his business relationship with the general, and he sweeps in to try and take out Spider-Woman. He assumed he'd killed her. She gets out of the way with her, with the woman, the shopkeeper she had rescued. "You a ghost, sweetheart?" "No, Tiger, you're inept. Nobody's perfect." Great little exchange there. And here we can see this fight is going to be a little bit different than the last one, because Spider-Woman has been doing Tai Chi for the past few weeks, and she kind of has a better sense of her body and movements and using her opponent's energy against them in almost an Aikido way. And she's just a little more skilled and cautious when it comes to fighting a foe that's like all power, like the Tiger is. "I missed, but how? You didn't move." "Ah, but I did, at the last moment, faster than the eye can follow, and precisely as much as necessary, no more, no less." And that is a tenet of Tai Chi. You use just the amount of energy required for the movement, or for the blow, or the defense necessary. Great panel here. I just love the way Leialoha and Wycheck render Spider-Woman's face in her mask here. It just looks really cool. And again, the speed lines with Tiger, it's just a really neat way to show his power set. He's coming at her, guns blazing, and she steps aside and trips him up here, sending him careening into this brickwork of the walkway here. "I'll have to use my Tai Chi training to turn the force of Tiger's attack against him, and thereby make the Bruiser literally defeat himself." So again, she takes to the air, waiting for Tiger to recover, and he flies headlong at her. Great color by Gafford here. You got a blank panel. There's no real background in it. Maybe save a few minutes for the artist. They didn't, Lealoha and Wycheck didn't really put any background in there, but Gafford uses a nice muted purple here to show the night background. All right. So she realizes she can't run away. She has to finish this now. And so he comes sweeping in again at her, and she, with a little bit of panache, says, "Olé, Tiger, you're laughing at me? You noticed." Excellent. My taunts are getting to him. So she's taunting him, getting him to be reckless, playing into his rage. And here he kind of telegraphs he's coming at her. Heads up, little lady. And this is the payoff coming up soon here. So he's using all his force to fly straight down, driving her into the ground. And almost impossibly, she is able to use her techniques and her considerable superhuman strength to twist from his grip and smash the tiger into the ground full speed. But he recovers, and he's angrier than ever. Turning chicken webs? Right move, wrong time. When I hunted you before, it was business. This time, it's personal. You're gonna die tonight, Spider-Woman. Just fantastic, over-the-top dialogue from Chris Claremont here. And again, that could you could take those word balloons and put them on a Sabretooth sequence of action, and it would be completely appropriate. He has a very similar rhythm to his language for Sabretooth as he does for this Flying Tiger character. The only thing he doesn't say is bub. Again and again, Tiger attacks, only to miss as the Dark Angel dances aside, as agile as uncatchable as a wraith. Each failure makes the assassin more determined, more desperate to win at any cost. I almost turned the page, but I cannot turn the page without remarking at least a little bit on the Hostess ad. I loved these Hostess ads as a kid. They are absolutely fantastic. Again, they are never credited, so you kind of have to figure out the artist just from maybe looking at it. And this one looks a little, to me, like a Herb Trimpe. That definitely looks like a Herb Trimpe panel right there. And this could be a Trimpe profile of Bruce Banner. Sometimes I preferred the Hostess ads where they were fighting actual characters or even made up supervillains. There are a few villains who are kind of made up for the ads, but this one it looks like they're just fighting. Hulk is fighting the Fumi Goomies. I'm not sure who made up that name. I guess obviously the bullpen guy who was charged to write this. But they're almost like, I don't know, some kind of weird paramilitary force. This guy almost looks like Castro in a way. But anyway, they barge in with automatic weapons. Banner turns into the Hulk. Great motion lines here. And grabs them in a massive bear hug. And we can see that they are eating some Hostess pies and happy about it. All right, so let's get to the conclusion here. Spider-Woman blasts Flying Tiger as he comes at her, full in the face with a venom blast, then ducks aside and he smashes headlong into a wall. She says, I can't believe it. How can he still be up? But he's not really. He's running on fumes and he collapses. And here, on the final page of the story, Spider-Woman is gratified that she's able to defeat the Flying Tiger, but there's a little plot seed for future, and this is actually going to lead into the end of the series. We can see that the moon, which was in the background here, becomes a focal point of this third panel. It is a warning from one of her old foes, Morgan Le Fay. Thou art a formidable foe against thine own kind, Arachnid. But Morgan Le Fay is an immortal, some might say a goddess. One day of reckoning is at hand. Or our day of reckoning is at hand, Jessica Drew. Make thy peace with thy God, little one. for soon thou wilt have thy chance to meet him. All right, so big threats from an old foe, Morgan Le Fay, who's coming back, apparently. Great panel arrangement here by Lealoha. And we can see now Morgan Le Fay fades. The moon is normal again. Here, Spider-Woman is going to turn the unconscious flying tiger over to the police. Here's Flying Tiger, officers. Handle him with care. He's as dangerous as they come. And so am I, she thinks in the next panel. Attack where and when and how you like, Morgan. I'll be waiting for you. Win or lose, I guarantee a fight you'll never forget. Excellent bravado from Spider-Woman here. But we can see Morgan can read her thoughts. Of that I am sure, child of the Darkhold. I would not have it any other way. Great shot of Morgan in this last panel. And then next issue, Morgan Le Fay. So it's set up for us. Spider-Woman number 41 is going to be a showdown with her old foe, Morgan Le Fay. And we have no letters page in this issue. Just an ad for 132 Roman soldiers, which I never sent away for, but I understand they were flats, figure flats. I'm sure they were cool. I had $3, how can you argue? So that is episode 2, covering Spider-Woman number 40 of Scott Reed's Comics. And I appreciate you watching. Subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you again soon for episode 3.